Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I'm coming with a Washington Commander rookie minicamp day one notes and quotes. I'm gonna update y'all on every day and then probably do like an overall breakdown of the entire rookie minicamp and how it went. And of course, I'm gonna keep y'all updated on mandatory minicamp, OTAs, training camp, preseason, and then of course the regular season with game previews, game reviews, live streams during the games, post live streams an hour after the game so y'all can call in and give y'all opinions on everything that happened. Y'all know that, and I'm still working on film sessions as well. But today is about rookie mini camps, and there's a lot of things to talk about. First of all, who impressed, who stood out, how good do some of the players already look. Also, some of the rookies have already signed their contracts, so that's really good news. And then there's also a lot of other random news, like Chase Young saying that he feels like he'll be ready by week 1. Also, the NFL schedule drops very soon, and we already know exactly how many air miles the Washington Commanders will have to travel throughout the season. And it's actually not that many in comparison to a lot of the teams. So that's really good. I mean, not only are we going from the toughest schedule in the NFL, literally number 1, to the easiest schedule in the NFL, literally ranked 32nd, but we're also traveling way less than last year as well. So everything is just basically aligning for us at the very least to win 8 wins. We won 7 games last year with the toughest schedule, all of the crazy injuries, Taylor Heinicke at quarterback, and I appreciate him, but he's not Carson Wentz. It just seems like going into this year with the league's easiest schedule, less air miles traveled, just law of averages, the roster just can't be as hurt as it was last year. There's just no way. The quarterbacks we go against this season on average are just way less talented than the guys we went against last year. I just feel like if we won 7 games last year, the floor gotta be 8 games this year, especially, most importantly, with a lot of these rookies that we brought in, including undrafted free agents that I'm really excited about and how they're going to contribute very early on. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, be on the lookout for all of the content. I'm working on film sessions for the entire draft class and even some of the undrafted free agents, especially the ones that I'm really excited about. But again, channel members will get every film session. Everybody else, the general public, will get a couple of them. So definitely go become a channel member if you haven't. And if you're already a channel member, go ahead and prepare because they're about to start flying out once I can sit down and get them done. Still working on my overall draft review and grade. That video will be coming out sometime this upcoming week as well. So stay tuned for all of that. And also go check out the Friday show. We talked a lot of basketball and talked Washington Commanders, talked a lot of stuff. Hilarious show for 3 hours. So definitely go peep that. And we will be returning with that show this upcoming Friday as well. But without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, 7th round picks Chris Paul and Christian Holmes and 5th round picks Sam Howell and Cole Turner have all been signed to their rookie contracts. Don't exactly know the details yet, but we have those guys down. You know, sometimes I doubt we have a situation like that, but sometimes rookies they go with contract negotiations all the way up to like training camp and stuff. It gets weird, and I definitely feel like we won't have to deal with that. But I'm just going to keep y'all updated on who's officially signed and who's not, because who knows what may happen. All right, so I guess we can start from the top and work our way down. Well, 1st round pick wide receiver Johan Dotson looked really smooth out there, catching passes from Sam Howell. Looked really good. I mean, the route running, I'm going to keep saying the word smooth because I want to emphasize that. Like, it, of course, you know, not going against any DBs, you don't exactly see how good the route running is and how crisp it is, how much he's separating, because who is he separating against? Air? So what I was looking for was how smooth and natural everything looked. That's another word, natural. And he looked like both. I mean, the ball coming to him, his ability to go and grab it, it looked like his hands had glue on it. The ball didn't move once it touched his fingers. And then even just the route running and how smooth everything looked, him breaking out of his routes, all of that type of stuff. And then the ball from Sam Howell, we're going to talk about him too, just being right where it needs to be as he's breaking from his routes. It just looks so clean, smooth, and natural. So I'm really excited about Johan Dotson. Now, granted, again, there's no defense, and they're also just in shorts and helmets with no pads, no contact, no nothing. So, of course, everything we talk about, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. But Cole Turner looked great out there. the best looking rookie, well, the most impressive. Not gonna necessarily say he was the best rookie, but on that day, yesterday, the 5th round tight end looked like a draft steal already. Again, helmets and shorts, no real defense, but he made some really good catches out there. And we're gonna talk about how happy Ron Rivera was with this practice as well, and just his overall tape when they drafted him. There's an exact quote I'm gonna give y'all of Ron Rivera talking about Cole Turner that should also have you excited. But again, man, Cole Turner was out there making crazy catches. He had at least 2 of them that were just like ridiculous. One was on the sideline, and then one was like thrown way over his head. And you know, most tight ends wouldn't have the catch radius to bring it down, and he does. So he was showing off his catch radius. He was showing his sideline border ability to come down with the ball with limited space available. Again, helmet and shorts, but he looked really good out there. That's just something that, I mean, as much as I like Logan Thomas and as excited as I am in John Bates, I don't think either of those guys have the catch radius and the receiving potential that a Cole Turner has. So this is going to be really fun because, again, Carson Wentz loves big targets. So I already thought that Cam Sim was probably going to have a huge jump in targets. And I thought that they were definitely targeting Drake London, and apparently that was our wide receiver 1, but we weren't able to get him. And so with Logan Thomas hurt, John Bates has a lot of potential as a dual threat tight end, but right now we know him here more so for blocking and running people over after he has the ball in his hands. But as far as getting open on his own and making crazy catches, we don't know John Bates for that yet. So right now, Cole Turner is Carson Wentz's best bet of having his Dallas Goedert, his Zach Ertz, his Alshon Jeffrey, his Michael Pittman as of right now. We have a lot of really good receivers, including Terry McLaurin, guys that can separate. They're quick. They should always be open, safety blankets, deep threats, all of that. But Cole Turner is the huge, big body, crazy catch radius. Carson Wentz just throw it up. He's going to find a way to come down with the target. I think that's why Cole Turner, out of any rookie, even more so than Johan Dotson, is going to have a very early impact. The only reason I can't see Cole Turner being on the field very often, very early, is he's going to have to work on his blocking a little bit. But he has the size of a guy that should be able to block very well. It's just technique. But it's not like he's just some really small, weak guy that has no blocking potential. He's scared of contact. So I'm really excited about Cole Turner. I definitely think he's a steal in the 5th round. Also, of course, Brian Robinson looked pretty decent running the ball. We know that. But going into rookie mini camps and definitely going into training camp, preseason, all of that, my biggest questions for Brian Robinson is how much can he contribute on 3rd downs? And first of all, that's including pass blocking, which is of right now, J.D. McKissic is our best pass blocking running back by far. But he's also very small, way smaller than Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. So there's just no excuse for those guys. And Brian Robinson has the aggressive nature to want to be a really good pass blocker, but the technique is just off for right now. They need to work on that. But also, as far as being a 3rd down contributor, how well can you run routes? Can you catch the ball with soft hands? Catch the easy passes? A lot of the times, I mean, probably the most complicated route Brian Robinson will probably ever run for us is maybe a wheel route. So most of the time it's going to be screens. I don't even see him going out wide and ever running a slant or nothing. It's just going to be a whole bunch of screens, little underneath stuff, maybe block for a second and then go flare out into the flat or something like that. So a lot of your targets are going to be really easy receptions, but you got to make it look easy. And when you make it look easy, your quarterback is going to be able to trust you to dump it off to you when they need to. And Scott Turner is definitely going to design a lot of plays where the overall goal is to dump it off to the running back. I mean, everybody else just pretty much is going to be a big distraction, and the goal of the play is to get the ball to the running back in the flat or wherever close to the line of scrimmage in the backfield. And so Brian Robinson, so far, day 1, looking fluid, soft hands, actually looking like he's moving pretty well in his routes. Antonio Gibson, you better watch it back. And Fedarian Mathis even spoke about it. They asked him, was he surprised at how well Robinson looked with his receiving ability so far in rookie minicamps? And he laughed and basically said, nah, I've been seeing this in practices at Alabama all the time. Alabama just didn't really utilize it in games, basically. And then also, of course, Sam Howell looked really good out there. Everything looked fluid. He looked like a veteran. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to overhype him, but like everything just again looks smooth, just like Johan Dotson. Everything just looks so natural. Didn't look like he was forcing anything. He was hitting receivers in stride. Again, on one of the clips that was going around Twitter, Johan Dotson broke on a route. The ball was exactly where it needed to be when it needed to be there. I mean, Sam Howell just looked like he was already a veteran, so that has me very optimistic about his career trajectory, and I'm just really comfortable with our quarterback situation for now, because I'm not gonna necessarily say that Sam Howell is ready to go out there and play week 1 of the regular season for sure. Definitely not saying that yet, but I'm comfortable with the fact that if Carson Wentz ends up getting hurt at some point in like the middle or late of the season, I think Sam Howell will probably surprise a lot of people and be better as a rookie than people think. Again, not projecting him to start week 1 at all. And I don't even think I want him to, because I don't think he'll be ready. There's a lot of things he still needs to fix. But in rookie mini camps, he looked really natural. And it shows that, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of reports that Sam Howell has really been working on his technique and a lot of the footwork and release with his arm flaws that he has over the off season since the college football season ended in 2021. And it's showing in rookie mini camps. A lot of his technique, a lot of his mechanical issues, it looks like he's worked on a lot of it. None of it's perfect, but there's definitely a difference between the last time we saw him play at North Carolina and what he looked like at that rookie mini camp. Also, there's a list of everybody that participated in the rookie mini camp, and of course, it's not just rookies, it's undrafted free agents. It's some guys they're not even signed to the team. We just gave them rookie mini camp invites. So it's a lot of names there if you want to check that list out, but I think some of the notable things is the size of certain people. Like the fact that Percy Butler is 6 foot 190 running a 4.36 is just amazing to me in the first place. Johan Dotson listed at 5'11", 184. That's a little bit heavier than I thought he was, and that's also a little bit taller. I thought he was like 5'10" and some pieces of an inch, but not all the way 5'11", but that's interesting. Curtis Hodges is 6'8", the tight end. Cole Kelly, of course, the 6'7" quarterback, 260 pounds. That's interesting. Cole Turner is 6'6", 240 at tight end with the crazy catch radius. DeJounte Knight is also 6'4". We have a lot of tall guys out there. Trey Gross, 6'4". We had a 6'4" linebacker, Steven Davis Jr. Is there any relation there? I'm gonna have to go look that up. We had a wide receiver, Donnell Williams, 6'3". We're definitely looking for size for sure. Wide receiver, Chris Booker, 6'3". Defensive back, Will Adams, 6'3". It's also really interesting that Sam Howell was the smallest quarterback out there by far, with the only 2 quarterbacks being Cole Kelly and Sam Howell. Of course, Cole Kelly's 6'7". Sam Howell is listed as 6'1", not 6 foot flat. Also, what is really interesting, my favorite thing, and this is why I saved it for last, Sam Howell, quarterback, and Brian Robinson, power running back, SEC running people over, are the exact same height and weight. I mean, literally every dimension, they are the exact same size. So that makes me a little bit more optimistic about Sam Howell potentially actually being used as a running quarterback at the next level, run a little bit of read option. I mean, at the very least, a little bit more than how we used Taylor Heinicke, because remember last year we like rarely allowed Taylor Heinicke to run the ball on purpose. All of his yards basically came from scrambling on pass plays. We never really had QB design runs. We didn't even really run a lot of play action bootlegs, which I just thought would bring the best out of him. I still don't exactly know why. And when Taylor Heinicke got hurt and Kyle played the little bit he played, we immediately started running read option. I'm like, why don't we do this with Taylor Heinicke? And I definitely feel like Scott Turner will be far more comfortable doing that with Sam Howell. First of all, because that's most of what he did in college, and then secondly, just the size. He's the exact same height and weight as our power running back, the guy that we brought in to be the guy to pick up 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s in the NFL. Sam Howell is the exact same dimension. So I think that's really funny, that's really interesting, and that makes me optimistic that Sam Howell may be more of a running threat than I thought, especially when we first drafted him. I knew it worked out really well in college, but college is different from the NFL. But him being the same exact size as Brian Robinson, maybe there's a little bit more running potential there than I thought originally. And then Ron Rivera had a lot to say after the practice. I mean, one of the main things he was the happiest about was Cole Turner. He was really excited when talking about him. He said, quote, "When you see him out here moving, he's a big body, moves well, and presents a good target. Like we talked about, he's a guy that's going to help us," unquote. And then he also said, quote, "I mean, Cole Turner is going to wow a lot of guys just because of his athleticism and his size and his ability to run. And he's also shown us, even though we're not in pads, watching his technique as far as blocking, I think he's going to surprise some people with that," unquote. So that has me really excited. Cole Turner already know what he's going to do in the receiving game. That's obvious. Like I said, he has the most potential out of any tight end on this roster as far as passing ability. He easily the highest ceiling, even more than a Logan Thomas. But the problem is, how much is he going to be able to play, because how much of a blocking liability will he be in the run game? Oh, well, of course, ceiling wise, Armani Rogers, the undrafted free agent, has the highest ceiling out of any tight end not even just on our roster, but probably this entire draft class. If we're talking about even the guys that drafted, if we're talking about athleticism, fluidity, he literally has a Darren Waller tight end ceiling or Chase Claypool wide receiver ceiling, but he played quarterback his entire life. So he's new to running routes, catching the ball, and all of that. If we can work with him and get him right, I mean, we may have a potential perennial Pro Bowler in my boy Amani Rodgers. But sadly, Ron Rivera didn't talk about him. But just talking about Cole Turner and ceilings, I had to bring up my boy Amani Rodgers, my favorite undrafted free agent by far. I had the same exact feeling that I had with Jordan Mailata. Before he ended up on the Eagles, I wanted him really bad. I was like, bro, just take the time to work with him. He can become a Pro Bowler. And now look at Jordan Mailata for the Eagles, man, holding down that offensive line. I have the same exact feeling with Armani Rodgers, and it's different from Samus Reyes because Armani Rodgers knows football. He's been a quarterback his entire life. He knows zone coverages. He knows exactly what a quarterback wants from him, and that's why Logan Thomas has worked out so well as a tight end, because he knows exactly what the quarterback wants for him to do as a receiving option, a receiving target. Knowing where to find the soft spot in zones, how to turn your body around to make yourself available to the quarterback, just a whole bunch of little nuanced stuff. So Armani Rodgers is going to at the very least have that, because remember, Samus Reyes didn't even know what zone coverage was. He didn't know what a blitz was. He was straight basketball, had no knowledge of football. I mean, we literally had to teach him what cover two meant and all of that type of stuff. So he's just basically been going through a crash course. That's why he's so raw. Armani Rodgers is raw, but he's not Samus Reyes raw. Ron Rivera also talked about Carson Wentz. He said, quote, "It's been really good to watch Carson throw the ball to the tight end, to the wide receivers, and the backs. I mean, it's a good group of guys, we feel, and it's been a lot of fun watching them. There's some excitement to Carson out there, big, strong arm. We really haven't done anything where we've been able to really rip the ball down the field," unquote. And I agree. Every quarterback we brought here, except for Ryan Fitzpatrick for a piece of a quarter, we just haven't been able to hit our guys that are open deep down the field. And I think De'Ami Brown, especially, right now, the only thing he's really good at, or at least consistent at, is getting open deep down the field. And we couldn't take advantage of that last year with Taylor Heinicke. As much as I really appreciate Taylor Heinicke, especially for the way that we beat the Falcons, I'll never forget that. But like, man, Carson Wentz is automatically an upgrade, because these guys are going to be open deep down the field, and he's actually going to be able to hit them in stride. So that's going to be a lot of chunk plays for us, a lot of explosive plays, and that's how you win games. You know how difficult it is in the NFL to put together 80-yard touchdown drives consistently? I mean, we look at Scott Turner crazy, but who's really doing that? A lot of these great offenses are out here getting 60-yard runs, 60-yard passes here and there throughout every game. It may not, I mean, of course, it's not happening every drive. You got to put together some 80-yard, 12-play drives. That's all we've had for a couple of years now. Alex Smith, Taylor Heinicke. So I'm really happy that at the very least Carson Wentz should be able to hit guys deep down the field, and we should be able to take advantage of some holes in some defensive secondary. I'm excited about that at the very least. I mean, say whatever you want to say about Carson Wentz. At least this year should be more fun. Middle linebacker wise, Ron Rivera even spoke about that, because he said, quote, "Well, internally right now, we're looking at giving Cole Holcomb the opportunity to continue there as far as Mike linebacker goes. We thought he did some really good things, especially down the stretch," unquote. But they also asked, like, as far as the fact that they didn't really take a linebacker in the draft, they brought in some undrafted free agents, and I'm really excited about one in particular, but they didn't really put a lot of capital in the need. We didn't get one in free agency or nothing. So he spoke about it and said, quote, "Well, I think if we're looking at one position, it's going to be linebacker. We have a good number of guys here. We're very pleased with the number of guys we have here, but we don't have another veteran type guy once we get past Khaleke Hudson. So right now, we're just too deep. We'd like to get a few more guys to be a bit deeper there." And I don't even necessarily think it's depth. I think we need a starter, but hey, that's how Ron Rivera feels. We'll see. There's a lot of guys out there. I've already done multiple videos breaking down linebacker. My most recent video, I broke down the linebackers available after Kyle Van Noy just signed with the Chargers, so go check that out if you're interested. But man, there's some guys out there, and I think we need to at least go bring in somebody. And then as far as Sam Howell, Ron Rivera talked about his learning curve. He said, quote, "I think he'll be okay. I really do. I think he and Cole Kelly, the other quarterback we brought in, are two guys that we did pay a lot of attention to. Both guys are really football smart, football savvy, and I don't think either one of them is going to have a huge learning curve. but I think they're young guys that aren't going to have any time frame where they have to hurry to get anything done, unquote. And that's a good point. I mean, with Carson Wentz out there and even Taylor Heinicke as a backup, there's no rush for Sam Howell. No rush at all. So whenever he's ready, if Carson Wentz is hurt or if he's playing poorly, then, you go out there. But there's no rush. So Sam Howell, we can do everything right. We can take it as slow as we need to or go as fast as we need to as far as his development. And let's see how it goes, man. And then Ron Rivera also spoke about the recent free agency signings, talking about Trey Turner. He said, quote, just some veteran presence, unquote. Also said, quote, the biggest thing about Trey Turner is it kind of solidifies the fact that we have 10 guys that we really believe are the guys that can give us that veteran experience. Again, one of the things we try to do is we want to make sure if we're going to be strong, we got to make sure we stay strong and having good depth on the offensive line, unquote. And that's a good point. I mean, you kind of, at this point, especially with us, I don't know how other teams do. I don't know how their other teams' health and injury situations are. But for us, you're only as good as your backup offensive lineman. Because at some point, a lot of these guys are going to end up playing. So you got to have some depth at the very least on the offensive line, because our starters don't really play the whole time at all, especially compared to other NFL teams. Some NFL teams actually kind of expect their 5-starting offensive line to be the starters every game throughout the season, I guess. I mean, they're just lucky in that way. We don't. So our backup guards, our backup tackles got to be ready, because they're probably more than likely going to end up playing it sometime. Ron Rivera also spoke about Sam Howell's footwork. He complimented it, saying that it looks really good. Again, like I spoke about earlier, a lot of the problems that I had with his game coming out of college, he looks like he's already fixed some of it. Again, it's not perfect, but it's very obvious that he's been putting in a lot of work since the last time we saw him play live at North Carolina. A lot of work. One other really interesting thing from this weekend that I heard about was wide receiver Johan Dotson said he was ready to skip his graduation at Penn State because he didn't want to miss practice. But Ron Rivera told him, no, you have to go. So he's going, and I think that's really dope from Ron Rivera, because Johan Dotson, of course, he wants to be available for the team and there for anything that we're doing. But Ron Rivera's like, nah, man, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to graduate. Go ahead and enjoy that, and we'll be here all the time. I love that from Ron Rivera, and I also love that from Johan Dotson, his dedication, because I know a lot of people take graduation very seriously. So I know he was torn between the two, but he was like, at the end of the day, I have a job to do. Let me go to that job. And Ron Rivera, technically his employer, was like, nah, man, don't do that. So I love that. That's my favorite thing from the whole weekend. Ron Rivera also said that a fully healthy Washington offense forces defenses to spread out, not just because of the receivers, but also because of the tight ends and running backs. So we're doing everything we can to be explosive. We're doing everything to be fast. So this is going to be a really fun offense this upcoming season. This may finally be the year where Scott Turner looks like a genius, because now he has so many weapons at his disposal, even just a healthy Carson Wentz. And at this point, it's kind of like no excuses for Scott Turner at this point. Also, just to let y'all know, for some of y'all that noticed that nobody had their names on their back of their jerseys during rookie minicamp, everything just said Commanders, and that's on purpose. I mean, Bill Belichick removes all nameplates to force teammates to learn each other's names, but I think Ron Rivera is more so doing it as we're a team, we're not individuals. So I think it's but hey, if we're doing it for the same reason that Bill Belichick does it, I mean, like communication on defense, really learning who's who and stuff like that, because you're not looking at the back of guys' jerseys when you're a cornerback and you're covering guys. You're looking at the front of them, at the very furthest, the side of them, maybe. So you need to learn how to communicate where people are and what they're doing and stuff like that. So I hope it's both of them. Also, Chase Young said that he believes he'll be ready to play by week 1, but I honestly think just how good he looks in pictures so far, again, I haven't really seen any definitive proof, but the fact that the leg brace is off and everything, I think he'll be ready by training camp. I honestly do. Also, lastly, the NFL will release the schedule Thursday night. And of course, I'll be doing an entire video on that. I'll do a video and or a live stream as well. And just to let you know, the Steelers will travel the fewest miles, and they won't even have to leave the Eastern time zone this season. So that's crazy. But we're also in good shape as well, because we're only traveling for 13,000 air miles this season, which is the 8th fewest in the NFL. Again, we're over 13,000, 13,670 to be exact. But you have teams like the Seattle Seahawks who are #1 with over 29,000, Denver Broncos over 27, Jaguars over 25, Dolphins over 25, Saints over 24. I mean, it's a lot of these teams that are in the 20s. We're just over 13,000. And like I said, the Steelers are the least with only 6,442. So that's crazy in itself. That is a breeze of a season as far as traveling goes. I don't think people understand how much that affects everything. That's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Leave a like if you liked it, if you learned anything. Definitely tell me which rookies and undrafted free agents you're most excited about, especially rookie minicamp wise. And I can't wait for OTAs. I can't wait for mandatory minicamp. I can't wait for training camp. I'm super excited, man. This is going to be a really fun off season. But yeah, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors. Your names see scrolling on the screen right now. I really appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.